has really changed. We've never really had certainty. We've never really. And what's happened recently in our world is that it's been exposed. We see that even though we built a, kind of a wonderful system, there are no certainties. And the beautiful thing about recognizing that nothing is for sure, is that we begin to live in the moment. We begin to enjoy this moment, and we see that we've been most of our lives looking to the future, waiting to live in the future, waiting to be something else other than who we are in this moment. And we've been imagining the future based on a story or based on our past, imagining of our past, because we really don't know what happened there either. We don't know what's going to happen, and we really don't know what did happen. We only have our perception of what happened, and it's very limited. Wow. You don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. And it's a beautiful place to be. We can just breathe out. And be in this moment. Be here now. Look at where you're sitting. Just feel it. Feel the breath in your lungs. And who is it that's being in your body? This being. I am. Who are you? I am. I'm not something. I'm not a description. I am. And in this moment, you are, I am. I had a friend come today to visit, and I've had an experience recently of total emptiness, total and I shared it with him, and he just went into his head to explain, and because we're so afraid to say I don't know. When we live in that fear of not wanting to accept that we don't know. And so just watch that. When the mind is coming up with all the answers and explaining everything and telling story about everything, it comes from fear, self-centered fear, not wanting to not know, not wanting to admit we don't know. And so just watch that. So these are the things to look for, as we go forward. That I think the first step, the very first step, is to recognize, hi Aaron, thanks for dropping by. The very first step is to recognize that we can't trust our thoughts, trying to control, trying to manipulate, trying to organize, trying to stay out of the road, or trying to get into something or get out of something. So we can't really trust our thoughts. Step one, that's the beginning of change, the beginning of awakening. The beginning of awakening is to know that we cannot, with our mind, manage really our lives. So if we surrender, we don't have to manage. We can be in the flow of life. And life is looking after us anyway, even though we're trying to manage. We're not being successful in our managing, generally, are we? What is that success? You have the biggest house on the block, or what? The biggest cottage, or the nicest clothes. What is the managing, of our lives? How do we measure? Well, I think we measure with peace. We find that space of peace, that place inside of. So the first step is to recognize that we can't trust the mind. It's funny, we go to a therapist, and what do they give us, or a psychiatrist, or they give us drugs to manage the mind. To manage the mind, because the problem is where? In the mind, always. Hi, Kimberly. Thanks for coming. So if the problem is in the mind, we have to recognize that and surrender continually. Keep surrendering. And for me, the prayer in each moment is to know God's will for me, to be allowed to stop directing, to be free of wanting my way. And you'll know in each moment what's required. In each moment you'll know what's required. And you'll be open to love. Nobody will need to say, hey, you should call your family. Hey, you should talk to your mother. Nobody will have to say these things because you will know. Meditate. Hey, some great teachers, again, I just want to touch on that, some great teachers available for us. Eckhart Tolle, Dr. David Hawkins, amazing. Over and over again, his book, Letting Go, amazing, amazing piece of work. And he has several amazing pieces of work. Mooji, you could listen to Mooji forever. He's got he's been just a stockpile of great exchanges with people. And Mooji points towards this thing I'm explaining to you that I can't explain. Mooji points towards this and helps us to see, wow, when we're not there, when we're stuck in our ego. Ego's very, very cunning, very baffling. Ego's very slippery. It's very, tricky ego. Wants to run the show, wants to be part of your awakening. Ego wants to manage your spiritual awakening. When ego is what you become awakened from, but it wants to manage it. So be careful, because it's there saying, I can help. Keep you in bondage. I was listening to a speaker the other day, and he said, we're asleep, dreaming we're awake. So it's very hard when we think we're awake to share that we're not. So some of the things that I shared with you, that when we're looking for stories about what's going on, and right now, and Facebook is full of them. It's the planets. It's we need to cleanse the planet. We need to, somebody sent me a story of the virus talking. People just make shit up, right? Because we just love that stuff. We want to just eat it up. Okay. Oh, Alan Watts too. I love Alan Watts. So these are great men who have awakened, and there's many, many more. Course in Miracles. Yeah, Course in Miracles is people really like for an awakening piece. But anyway, in the Bhagavad Gita, all of that lifts our vibration, and so we can drop into that empty space. I'm available anytime. If you want to talk, if you want to just, if you want to call me, and you want to talk about what's going on. If your mind is making you crazy, you're trying to manage your life, stop it. Just get in the flow. Allow. Adrian says, emptiness is the vastest kingdom, rarely discovered, and yet is the greatest resting place. Greatest rest place of all beings. Mooji. I love it. Thanks, Adrian. Adrian just came back from spending over a month, maybe 5 weeks in Rishikesh with Mooji and other teachers. Amazing. What a gift for us in this town to have you. Thanks, Adrian. Probably right now, just drop into a 5-minute meditation, and then we'll be finished. We have a YouTube channel. I'd love it if you go, to YouTube, and it's Bowing Beyond and Project Awakening, and we're trying to kind of build that up a little bit and get some more viewing on that, and that's it. Love you. Stay close to home. Really, it's not a joke about this virus, and we don't want to have other people not, to get sick. And so stay close to home, and recognize that this too shall pass. Everything passes. This too shall pass. The only thing that doesn't pass is that emptiness that I'm talking about. That's me. And do reach out. Talk to people. I try to make at least a dozen calls to people a day, just, or take calls. And I'm open to your call. And reach out and meditate. Like, really, you have time. Just practice. Drop in, weigh, and those authors I just talked to you about, spend time with them. Like, especially Alan Watts. There's so much on YouTube of Alan Watts, and so much on YouTube with Mooji, and also Hawkins, and it's endless. Thank you. I'm so blessed to have you in this community. It's just, I am so blessed.